Hello, I'm Rob Phillips. Welcome to my channel, where I help people improve their lives with a smart, accessible approach to yoga and meditation. So for today, we're going to be doing a 30-minute Yin Yoga sequence that's going to focus mostly on the outer hips, as well as some on the back of our legs. In terms of props, I'm going to recommend having a blanket for today's class. And as always, if you enjoy this video, please consider giving me a like and consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more yoga videos like this each week. Whenever you're ready to get started here, we're going to find our way into a comfortable seat. So as you come into your seat here, you can certainly consider sitting up on your blanket to create a little bit of lift under the hips, but ultimately just find any position that lets you sit comfortably for a few minutes here. So once you've found that posture here, you can rest your hands onto the lap or onto the thighs. Close your eyes and let's take just a few minutes here to drop in and settle into our practice. I always want to start just noticing how we're feeling within the body and within our mind. And knowing that for this Yin Yoga style, we always want to receive things just as they are. We really want to open up to things as best we can without any extra expectations on top of it. So to that end here, just take a few more moments, a few more slow breaths, and notice how you're feeling right now. Really let go of anything you're holding on to and find that nice receptive quality as we prepare to begin our physical practice. And let's take a gentle inhale breath through our nose. Gentle exhale breath out our mouth, lowering the chin down, slowly opening our eyes. So we're going to stay seated for our first pose, and we're going to come into a butterfly setup. So essentially taking our feet out in front of us. Given that we're trying to target the outer edges of the legs, recommend keeping the feet a little farther rather than trying to draw them in closer, which will generally target the inner line of the thighs more. Do ensure that you don't feel anything going on in your knees here, and you're always welcome to add reinforcements if you do happen to feel that. Once you've got your setup in place here, take a gentle inhale for some lift. Exhale to ease forwards, any amount here to find your initial edge. Once you're in the pose, I do recommend closing the eyes, and as is kind of customary, I always use the first posture to kind of lay out the basic principles of how we practice here. So always remembering in this Yin Yoga context that we want to listen to what the body is telling us, respecting any feedback that it gives us along the way. So you want to come just far enough into the pose that you feel that very light edge of sensation, feel like you're doing something to the body, but never anywhere near the threshold of pain, never dealing with any sharp or focused types of sensation. If you feel anything like that, you're going to want to back away from the pose. You might need to fine-tune your alignment. Remembering, it's always better to work too gently here than it is to work too aggressively. And for today's sequence in particular, we're going to be doing a lot of external rotation of the hips, which means we're going to want to be particularly careful that we feel nothing in the knees. If you feel something going on in your knees, you're going to want to back out of that pose. But if the body feels safe, if the pose feels sustainable, once we're there, we let ourselves relax. We let the body settle and unwind. And little by little here, as we settle, as we unwind, we access deeper, denser layers within our body. We give ourselves that rare opportunity to slow down and really pay attention to what we're feeling. So we've got just a few more deep breaths left here in this first pose. So through this short remaining time, can you really notice just what is your experience here? Just what are you feeling here within the body? And maybe ask yourself, what can you let go of here? What could you release or surrender so that you can feel a bit more calm or a bit more space? Please take a final complete breath right here where you are. Slowly roll up and away from your fold. And give yourself a moment to relax the shoulders a bit. Give yourself a moment to extend the legs. Let yourself release there. And before we move on into our next couple poses, let's take just a very short pause here. So you can sit tall, give the legs a moment to decompress. Always worth feeling the resonance in the body, always worth kind of noting, even after our very first pose, what sort of effects things may have had. And again here, as we settle in, let's take a nice long inhale breath through our nose. We'll open up the mouth and gently exhale to let that go. So from here, next couple poses are going to be deer pose. So deer pose is almost like a cousin of pigeon. It targets a lot of similar stuff rather, but it's a little more accessible and I think a little bit easier in the beginning of our sequence as we're at here. So to set up your deer pose, I'm going to recommend sitting somewhere near the front of your mat, somewhere like somewhat like I'm doing with your feet flat on the floor. Take both feet a bit off the left edge of the mat so that now you can roll all the way over onto your right side hip and park your left leg somewhere alongside you here like this. Now, if you feel like you need a blanket or extra support to reinforce things, please grab that. Please use that at your discretion. But once you've got your basic setup going here, you'll take an inhale breath for some length, take an exhale breath, and walk your way down into any sort of forward fold. As you fold here, you're welcome to grab other props like pillow or a cushion if you want to lean into that, or even a yoga bolster if you happen to have one. Again, we want to feel nothing going on in the knees here, just to keep ourselves safe. And if all feels okay, giving ourselves permission to relax, giving ourselves permission to really settle here. And understanding that when we do a sequence that targets the outer hips a lot, like we are today, that can at times kind of stir things up. A lot of us hold a lot of tension in that part of the body. Rather than seeing that as a problem, see that as an opportunity to practice letting go, to practice settling through that more challenging sensation. Keep letting go again and again, and just notice what it's like for you to be here. Notice what it's like to receive your experience without needing to make things happen so much. And little by little, as you settle, little by little, as you let go here, notice the sense of calm. Notice the sense of space that is opening up for you. Feel as you settle, feel as you relax more and more. And we'll do just that here for a few more slow breaths. Take your final complete breath right here. slowly press your way up away from the floor. And again, I recommend extending the legs out, just giving ourselves a little pause, shake things out a bit as you might like to. You can sit relatively tall here and take a few breaths. Notice the difference between your two sides. Notice what you've been able to open up through that right side leg, especially the outermost edge, as we've been focused. Let's set up for the second half here, so you can walk the feet in. Take the feet a bit off the right edge of your mat, so that now, as you roll over, you can end up on the outside of that left hip. Right hip or right knee can park somewhere inside, and again, you're welcome and encouraged to use extra props if you find that helpful to be comfortable here. And once you've got your basic setup in place, you'll inhale again to extend. Use your exhale breath to walk your way down and into your fold. Again, you want to have a certain sense of length in the spine so that you can create that leverage to target that outer left leg. And if there is some tension, if there is some resistance, notice that. We don't need to stop it. We don't need to resist it. We want to welcome it as it is. But then see if we can let it go. See if we can soften that resistance and just become a bit more calm. Just become a bit more clear here. What are you holding on to in the body or the mind that you don't need? What does it feel like to just connect here again and again? Feel as those deeper layers unravel little by little. Feel as you get beneath the surface into almost subconscious gripping or almost subconscious tension that you may be holding on to. And let that fall away here too. Just a few more moments. Just a few more nice slow breaths. Take your final complete breath right here. Slowly press up and away from the floor. And again, as you press up here, extend the legs out. Let the legs move, let the legs release here for a few moments. And with your eyes closed, you can take just a few breaths and let yourself settle. Now, where we go from here is actually related to this pose. So I'm going to turn sideways on my mat again, and you might actually want to do the same thing at home, because what we're going to come into is a wide-legged straddle. So I'm going to sit up on my blanket. I think most folks can benefit from that extra height. Keeping in mind that my version of wide legs may be rather different than yours, so you can go as wide as feels good. There may be a bit of bend in the knees, so you're welcome to slide props underneath the knees. You're also welcome to lift the hips up a little bit higher. So once you've got your setup in place, if you feel enough effect even just being upright, you're welcome to stay here. If you want to move into this, we'll take an inhale breath right here and an exhale breath to relax any amount into this fold. And so this isn't an outer hip pose at all, really. It's more of a back of leg and inner line of leg pose. But again, just complementing the work we're doing. No yoga practice should be completely singularly focused. And here, very much like that first butterfly pose we did, doesn't matter how close you get to the ground. You want to listen to your body. You want to take your time and feel it out here. What is your experience right here and right now? What are you holding on to that you don't need? Do ensure that the body feels spacious. And notice what that sense of ease feels like. Notice if the attention wanders, and we don't need to keep it glued at all times to our experience, but if it does wander too far, you might benefit from just drawing it back, from just reconnecting right here where you are. And just a few more slow breaths, just a few more moments here. Take your final complete breath right here. Slowly, as you inhale, roll up from your fold. And take a brief moment to kind of shake out the legs, let them move like I'm doing here. You can use your hands to scoop and draw them in, basically. Maybe move them around a little bit from there. And again, let's just take a very brief pause. We're going to do a couple more seated poses, but give yourself a little bit of an opportunity to integrate this. We're going to stay in seated for a couple more poses. So I'm going to stay facing this way just so the camera can see me better. You're welcome to turn back the normal way on your mat if you would prefer. So what we're going to set up for is shoelace pose. So we're going to start with our right leg. So shoelace involves essentially crossing the right knee over the top of the left. Doesn't need to look completely pretty, but if you find that this is really uncomfortable, or again, if you feel anything in your knees, you can take Sukhasana, easy cross leg, or you could lie on your back and do figure 4 shape with your right ankle crossed over the left knee. So you have some options for this one. But set up one way or another like this. And again, like the last pose, if this feels like it's getting the job done, you'll just stay here. If you feel like you want to go further, you'll take an inhale breath for some lift and use your exhale breath to again ease into your fold. And take your time here. It doesn't matter how close or far you are away from the floor. What's much more important is what you're feeling in the body. Again, these outer hip poses can stir things up, but that can be an opportunity to relax and to disengage. Just what might you let go of here? Just what are you holding on to that isn't necessary? Feel that sense of calm start to integrate through both body and mind, again and again here. Final few breaths. Take it in just as it is. One more breath right here. Slowly inhale and roll your way up. At the top, as you exhale, you can relax the shoulders, unravel the legs, and probably by now you've picked up on the pattern. We'll just pause here for a few seconds. Give the body a few breaths to absorb what you've just done. Whenever you're ready, let's set up for the second half. So crossing left leg on top, or again, you could modify and do that easy cross leg or figure four on your back if that makes more sense for your body. Once you've got the basic setup here, you'll inhale to lift. Exhale to ease forwards, finding your edge, which again, it's not a rush to get as close to the floor as possible. It's all about listening to what we feel in the body. Let yourself relax here. Let yourself really drop in here. Align the body in such a way that it feels spacious, that it feels vibrant. And keep letting go of anything extra at all that you're holding on to in the body. Anything extra at all that you're holding on to within your mind as well. Let yourself just rest in this experience, connecting with things just as they are. Just a few more slow breaths here. Just a few more moments. Take your final complete breath right here. Slowly find your way up and away from the floor. And as you come up, again, extend the legs, relax the back and the shoulders, let everything move a little bit. From here now, let's make our way all the way onto our backs. So as you first land here on your back, take a moment to hug the knees in, maybe rock a little side to side just to release everything. Before we take final Shavasana, we will take a couple very brief twists. So from here, with your knees drawn in, take the knees over to the left. You can stack or stagger them however you'd like. Open your right shoulder somewhere on the floor and just wring out the side body. It can feel especially nice after all those forward folds we just did. Slowly wind the knees back into the center and slowly roll them over to the right. Open the left shoulder out onto the floor. And take a few deep breaths right here. Slowly draw the knees in and let this be a final opportunity to move, to release a little bit before extending the legs out onto the floor. Setting up for a brief final rest, final Shavasana. Just letting the body be still here. Letting the body absorb and integrate everything that you've just done. Take a nice deep inhale breath through your nose and open up your mouth as you exhale. Let it all go. Rest here in stillness for just these next couple minutes. So just take a final few moments right where you are to tune back into the body, tune back into your breath. Feel the breath deepen slightly and find little movements. And from those movements, as you're ready to, making your way over onto your side. And from your side, up into a comfortable seat with eyes closed. Here, let this be one last opportunity to notice and observe all of the effects of your practice, to really feel whatever change you've cultivated through body and mind. Finally, here we'll end with a short offering of metta, loving kindness. I'll say just a few phrases, and if the meaning of these phrases creates a connection for you, consider repeating the phrase internally to deepen that connection. So we'll join the hands in front of the heart. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings live with ease and freedom from suffering. And may we dedicate our practice for the benefit of all beings. We bow. So thank you so very much as always for joining. And of course, if you have any thoughts or questions, do let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to give me a like and consider subscribing to my channel because I'll be coming out with more yoga practices each and every week. Finally, if you'd like to keep your practice going, I might recommend checking out this guided meditation right over here.